Where did the elves and the fairies of old go? If you have ever wondered this, I have exciting news for you. They are still being sighted, but you'll rarely find those encounters in the news. You may even have heard that they just disappeared because we stopped believing in them. Some may say that that's the case, even the faithful of the fairy faith. But there is still a world of wonder out there for you to experience yourself. This year, 2023, Mexican President AMLO shared a photograph of a hairy elf to the world via Twitter. This fey creature, known to the people of Mexico as the Alush, their description and behaviors are reminiscent of other fey creatures in European folklore. Local legends say that if an Alush stops and asks a traveler for an offering and is refused, the Alush will often wreak havoc and spread illness. However, if satisfied with that offering, the Alush will protect a person or even bring them good luck. Now this, if you're familiar with fairy tales and folklore, should sound familiar. Such tales like this actually come from Mayan legends, far removed from European folklore. Yet the similarities are still there. And such encounters are a worldwide phenomenon that never abated. Did you know there's this organization called the Fairy Investigation Society? It's in the UK, and they collect reports of people's encounters to this day. On their website, you can go view a collection of modern fairy sightings as well. They've even conducted a fairy census as recently as 2017. It's pretty interesting. I've even got news articles about vengeful fairies within the last decade. So there is news happening, but you really have to have your ear to the ground to be able to pick them up. There are more fey encounters happening right now that no one is talking about in the context of fairies because they're disguised by more modern concepts and names. Take, for example, poltergeists. Now tell me the difference between the kikimora, who throws dishes and slams cabinets, from a poltergeist who does the same. Here I'll quote Nikolai Konokov's Poltergeist in Folklore and Beliefs of the Komi People. The memorates recorded by her tell about following tricks of this being. It settled in one of the houses, moved the furniture, threw dishes, made the samovar with tea jump on the table. In another case, it is described how the rifles standing in the corner of the house began to dance by themselves. One more informant told how somebody threw things down from a stove in an empty house. And folklore is filled with fey creatures to be placated, lest these fickle folk make your home life a wreck. See, it goes right back to the Mayan legends of the Alush. And they have many names. The Kikimoras from Eastern Europe. And it's just a household elf. And there are many other fey creatures in folklore just like it. Check out my prehistoric fairies video for more examples. So putting this more simply, there are these invisible creatures causing physical disturbances, and they're no longer associated with fairy encounters and get lumped in with hauntings. So that's another reason why you won't hear these fairy stories. There's also crossovers between the land of the dead and the fairy realm. They're not considered one and the same, yet they were bordering realms, and each border on the mortal realm of Earth. So they're these like neighboring dimensions of the dead and the fae that kind of get fuzzy, even in folklore. However, few scholars care to look at the connections of fairies to modern hauntings. Much prefer to relegate these stories to quaint ethnographic collections of superstition and whimsy. Speaking of scholars, what prestigious scholar wants to be associated with what is akin to backwoods alien encounters? So who is going to study the evidence and give you the wider picture of these phenomena? Me, happily. Let's look at some Irish folklore. Let's see, one account says, their sight is so penetrating that I think they could see through the earth. They have a silvery voice, quick and sweet. The music they play is most beautiful. They take the whole body and soul of a young and intellectual people who are interesting, transmuting the body to a body like their own. Here we see fairies were known for their shapeshifting abilities and could appear in many different forms, along with exhibiting strange hypnotic powers. Now compare this account to the more recent encounters from North Carolina in the biography of Chris Bledsoe. Let's see, here we go. He lay stock still, watching the lights approach and the overgrowth. They stopped 15 feet away from him, blocking his path back to the fire. He described them as mechanical in nature, one fiery red eye opening while the other closed like a camera shutter. But always one of their two red eyes watched him, and always one of the two was closed. The eyes watched him from translucent bodies, and he found that he was paralyzed, unable to yell or move. For 2 hours, he lay in the brush in abject terror. These legends suggest that the encounters people have had with aliens may actually be encounters with fairies in one of their many forms. Now, while the existence of these entities may always be shrouded in mystery, their legends and stories continue to captivate our minds and connect us to our ancient forebears through folklore, which we should never forget lest ye fall for their glamours.